the Mississippi River, a swim jig is really a player all year long. I mean, I'll start using a swim jig as soon as the ice comes off, and I won't hang it up until the ice goes back on. But really, the big key is adjusting the colors that you're using, the trailer that you're putting on it, and the weight. So early spring, when the water temperature is in the 40s or even in the 30s, I've caught them on a swim jig. I like to use a lightweight jig. You know, I'll use even a Strike King Bitsy Bug, a 1/8 ounce, and I'll put a double grub trailer on there. And usually black is my favorite color. I can fish that really slow and hover it up high in the water column. Then as we get into later spring, I'm going to a 1/4 ounce bait. I'm using swim bait trailers. It's a great pre-spawn presentation. But now when we get into this time of year, the late summer, early fall transition, that's when I'm going to white. On the Mississippi River, everything becomes all about shad colors in the fall. So I'm throwing a 3/8 ounce white Strike King tour grade swim jig. And yeah, I mean, it's really a versatile bait. I can throw it on weeds, I can fish it on sandbars, I can fish it on wing dams. You know, I really like to fish it on wing dams, especially ones that have some eelgrass growing on the wing dam. You know, that's a really deadly combination this time of year. Those balls of large shad like to get into the eelgrass that's growing off the backside of a wing dam. So perfect place to throw a white swim jig. And the basic approach I take to it is I'm going to throw it out there, and more often than not, I'm keeping the rod tip at a 45-degree angle up in the air, and I'm just kind of popping it and fluttering it. I'm reeling it at a medium retrieve, but the biggest key is on that semi-slack line. When you pop it and you kind of let it fall a little bit, it's kind of penduluming. I don't even know if that's the right word, but you know, it's swinging down there on that semi-slack line, and then you pop it back up. The way that it's fluttering through that grass or through that over that drop that you might be fishing, something about that approach is really deadly here on the river. And I'm just trying to mimic a big shad. You know, we've got a lot of 4 to 6 inch shad right now, and this white tour grade swim jig with the caffeine shad, the swimming caffeine shad trailer, it's a really good combination to mimic those bigger shad. When I get a bite on this bait, it's going to be somewhat similar to any other moving bait, but I do tend to drop the rod just a little bit because I'm fishing it on a semi-slack line, so I need to drop the rod back to that fish and then set the hook. I'm setting the hook in a kind of a sweeping upward motion and really hooking that fish. I use a light wire hook, but I also use a lighter action rod and 15 to 17 pound fluorocarbon line. So I can actually set the hook pretty hard on these fish. A lot of people like to use braided line for their swim jigs, but I am definitely an advocate for using straight fluorocarbon, lighter wire hooks, you know, as light as you can get away with on every aspect of the setup. I think fishing a swim jig is more of a finesse art form, in my opinion. It's more akin to throwing a small swim bait. You know, it's just a bulkier version of fishing a swim bait. So my philosophy is I'm going to use a lighter hook, a lighter rod, but then I'm not going to skimp on the hook set. And it seems to work pretty well. My hookup and landing ratio with the swim jig is very good, so I tend to not want to change anything with that.